8:11. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. And it's Pride Week. You can definitely tell from BT because we've got the flag, the Pride flag, all over the place. We're also this week lucky enough to get to know some of the Pride Parade Grand Marshals. One of them has been posthumously awarded this year. And you guys both knew Fraser so well, and we want to learn more about him this morning. Sean, I know that you guys, were you best friends?
Yeah, well, you know, Fraser had a lot of good friends, but yeah, I'd call him one of my best friends for sure.
You were close.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely so close. Well, he was one of those guys that you knew on the street in the West End, yeah?
Yeah.
And I love it that we're learning more about him, and what a moment this must have been for him if he was around to enjoy it. Can you tell us more about him as we bring up some pictures, and for people who weren't familiar with him, you can get an idea of where he came from and why he was such a great guy.
All right. Fraser was born in Ontario. He came out to Vancouver after, when he turned 14, he came out to his family, and his mother reacted like a lot of parents did at that time, and frighteningly still do. She sent him for electric shock treatments to shock the gay out of him. And so, not wanting to deal with that much longer, he came out to Vancouver, and like lots of kids that come out to Vancouver, ended up on the street. He was a street worker for a number of years, and worked from that to getting his own place, holding down a job. He's one of the long-term. He was one of the long-term survivors for HIV. He had it for over 30 years. Plagued with a number of health issues over the course of his life, but he never dwelled on them. He'd sort of say, you know, I feel bad, but I'll slap my face and get on with the day. So, quite an amazing fellow. He knew. He not only knew the names of the people on the street, he knew their stories. He knew what they had gone through. He knew what people needed on the street, and most of it, you know, I think my biggest learning from Fraser is about humanity. About, you know, there's a story for everybody that's there, and it's important to know that and help where you can. It's all individual.
When did you first meet Fraser Doak?
I met Fraser on a bus that was sponsored by Labatt's and Pump Jack, going out to the Calgary Gay Rodeo, and those two combined, you can tell what kind of a weekend of kind of debauchery it was.
Come on, give us some details, Sean, please.
Well, at one point we were by Chilliwack. People were well into their orange juice and vodka. We had to get a tape, because the bus only had a cassette tape player. So all of us on a long yellow line, 24, 25 people paraded into the Walmart in Chilliwack to find a cassette tape. And we did. There was only one. It happened to be ABBA Gold, which, if you can imagine on a bus with gay men and women, ABBA Gold is pretty much the show tune thing. So we had that most of the way to Calgary, and by the time we arrived in Calgary, just before they were closing all of the registrations for the event, the guy got on the bus and said, "Hey, anybody that wants to compete in the rodeo, we're signing them up now." And if you're
Fraser went, I bet.
Well, no, actually, Fraser, and it's interesting. Fraser has always been support. And so he was there when you peeled your body off the rodeo grounds and were going back to your tent. He was there with the Rebaxa set and the bottle of JD, and, you know, would take care of us for the weekend.
And Michael, you would know a lot about the kind of supportive person that Fraser was. Can you tell us about his connection with McLaren House?
Well, he was a phenomenal advocate, poster boy. As she mentioned, long-term HIV-positive individual, and
he only died this year. So I mean, this is
over 30 years, and most of that time he was a McLaren client. We gave him housing. He later moved into portable housing with a portable subsidy, and he was always advocating for McLaren and for the different causes, particularly the gay and gray. And this is a crucial issue that we continue to face as HIV-positive individuals live longer. They have special needs. We need housing to be provided for them for those needs and support. And there's no money to date for that.
Well, that's why it's so wonderful to have Fraser Doak posthumously as one of the Pride Parade Grand Marshals. Let's take one more look at the man that we've just learned so much about, and just really quickly, what would it mean to him?
Oh, you know, what would it mean to be posthumous hero? He would be so humbled, and he would tell you about there's so many other people that should have been doing it.
That's the kind of man he was.
It was all about in service of others.
Sean, thank you so much, and Michael, it's been a pleasure learning more about Fraser Doak. Happy Pride, guys. More Breakfast Television after this. It's 8:16. Still coming up this hour, our interview with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, live in studio right here on Breakfast Television.